signify the role of clinical research and scientific writing in integrated medicine. It is the time for us to fill this evening with the invoking blessings of Almighty and ignore the ignorance just as the darkness does. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Feminine Unani Medical Organization, FUMO, and Kleinzor Research Private Limited, I, Dr. Asma Sultana, your today's host, welcome you all to this wonderful seminar. Please join your hands together for this evening. It is the custom of every culture to begin any event with the rituals of the religion. Before we begin anything auspicious, may I request Mr. Mahmood, BMS final year student, to start this evening by reciting a few verses from the Holy Quran. May I have you, Mr. Mahmood?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب المشرقين ورب المغربين رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العظيم.
I would like to welcome our esteemed chief guest, Professor Dr. M.A. Wahid sir. May I have you on stage, sir? Wahid sir, a huge round of applause. Our next amazing chief guest, who is presently the Dean in the Nizam Institute of Medical Sciences, is Professor Dr. M.U.R. Naidu, sir. Please welcome him to the round of applause. Let me introduce you each of one of our chief guests. First, Dr. Mr. Wahid sir is right now the member of Board of Governors in Central Council of Indian Medicine, Delhi. He has served as the officiating director of the Central Research Institute in Unani Medicine in Hyderabad. Sir has conducted pioneering research in different skin diseases, particularly vitiligo or leukoderma. He is a specialist in dermatology. He had developed a Unani formulation for vitiligo after research spanning over several decades. He is considered as authority on vitiligo. Apart from receiving many academic awards, he is the recipient of most prestigious award of the country, that is Padma Shri. Our next guest, as I mentioned, he is the Professor Dr. M.U.R. Naidu. He is presently a Dean, Faculty of Medicine, Professor and Head Department of Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics at the Nizam Institute of Medical Sciences, holding multiple fellowships, has led a number of workshops and international conferences, nominated as expert member during Development Committee 9th Planning Commission from Government of India. He has authored a number of books like Pharmagram, a therapeutic guide, designing clinical trials, principles of pharmacodynamics. Altogether, this eminent personality holds 137 publications, out of which 74 in international journals and 63 in national journals. Adding to the list, he is the one who has started DM course in clinical pharmacology and therapeutics in the year 1996. Not only this, he has established and developed Department of Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics at NIMS, Dr. Nizam Institute of Medical Sciences, Hyderabad. Our next guest, in fact, guest of honor, don't need any introduction. Patron of many seminars, face of Unani, talent spotter, pioneer in himself. Yes, I'm talking about Professor Dr. Muhammad Ehsan Faruqi sir. Please welcome him with a huge round of applause. Of Molijat at Government Nizamiya Tibia College. Our next member to be called upon the dais is Professor Dr. Asiya Khanna Madam. She's an assistant director in NRIU SD, that National Research Institute of Indian Unani Medicine, Eragada, Hyderabad. May I have you on stage? Our next member to be called upon the dais is Mr. Mujibuddin, founder and CEO of Clinical Research Private Limited, an emerging clinical research education and research management company which deals with training, project handling and resource management in clinical research. Now may I request Ms. Uma Priya, Director, Clinisol. May I have you? She is also a member of organizing committee. Now may I request Dr. Samia Shireen, President of Feminine Unani Medical Organization and one of the organizing members of today's event, to take her seat on that. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Waslia Tabassum, Vice President FUMO and organizing member of today's event, to come on dais and take your seat. It's really wonderful to meet such a wonderful people out here who have really lifted up the service level high. Now you all might be wondering how clinical research is beneficial to the doctors or what clinical research is all about. Well, in short, I can say that clinical research refers to all research that is carried out on humans to develop a new treatment. The aim behind organizing this event is to redirect the mode of research among our physicians and research scholars. Well, our guest will talk about this in detail. Now to proceed, it is a time to present a token of appreciation to our guest and organizing member. May I request Dr. M.U. Naidu sir to present the token of appreciation to Professor Dr. M.A. Waheed sir. Now may I request M.A. Waheed sir to present a token of appreciation. I request Asiya Khanna Madam to felicitate what we are presenting on the medicinal plants. Instead of buying the bouquet and throwing at the third day, we thought it's the most our next session. May I request Dr. M.U. Naidu sir to address the gathering.
Good evening to everybody, and I am very much thankful to the organizer for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about something related to clinical research. In the presentation, I will be actually covering about a very broad area of clinical research, because as you know that clinical research has so many parts and so many things are there. So I will be mostly covering the important issue which is very, very important for all the person who. So the topic of my presentation is introduction to clinical research. Started actually for the first one that regarding actually satisfactory the answer of the important question which will actually improve the health of the patient, because that is one of the most important reason we want to do a clinical research. So any patient who is having any problem, we want to improve that. The second thing that the status of researcher, when you are doing research, naturally when you are doing a very good type of research and all those things, that professional actually advancement is very important. You may be knowing that especially when you are working any institute or any college and all those things, your promotion, your increment and all those things are linked with your research and publication. So that is another issue. And one of the most important issue which is there is actually a job where you need to have your salary and job security. So these are actually very main 5 important reasons why somebody wants to do research. Now let us see that what actually you mean by research, because it is a very broad term. It's a research because in any area people are doing. So what actually basically you understand by the meaning of word research. Research is the endeavor to discover new facts, even the procedure. If you are actually finding out some new procedure, new method or any technique by scientific study, it's very important that whatever you are doing procedure, that should be having a backing of your scientific study, of course of a critical investigation. Your investigation should be very critical. This is actually what is known as research in a broad term. What is today we are concerned is about what is clinical research. Coming to clinical research, basically the clinical research is actually the involvement of working with human participant. Whatever actually you are doing with the human participant, any type of data you are collecting, any type of thing you are looking into a human subject, then it becomes clinical research. Then the next part, which actually I told you, the first reason of doing clinical research is that we want to improve the health of our patient. Then there is a patient-oriented research. So in case of patient-oriented research, actually you need a patient. So when the individual is a patient and then you are doing the work with that individual, then it becomes actually a patient-oriented research. So there is a normal research where you are doing any human being, even healthy subject, or a patient-oriented research. This is actually a broad sense of clinical research. Actually, now everybody asks, sir, okay, you are talking about research and all those things. That actually one has to very carefully understand that actually how one should do research, because it is a very important thing. And you might have also come across so many papers up there. There is a fraud research. People have not done properly, but they have published because of getting publication, all those things. So let us understand correctly that how one should do research. Now when you are thinking of doing research, first actually you have to think that start defining your question. What you want to do? You want to do something in cancer, you want to do something on infectious disease, or you want to do in COVID. That is your first thing, that yours should be the first question, what you want to do. That is the first thing. The second thing is that write down very clearly your aim. For example, COVID, there are so many things are there. What actually you are in the aim? You want to prevent the lung problem which is happening in the COVID, or you want to develop a diagnostic thing for COVID, or you want to develop a vaccine for the COVID. So you should clearly write that in COVID there are so many things can happen. So what is your aim? That is you have to very clearly write, I want to do this. Then divide this is a very broad thing which you are aiming it. Break into very small pieces. For example, they are telling that you want to develop a vaccine for COVID. Now there are 6 types of vaccine. So you should very clearly write this type of vaccine, this type, how I will be developing. So break all your aim into very small questions which are very much answerable. Continuing, first and very most important thing that you have to hypothesize, you have to dream. Okay, I would like to like this thing, it is going to happen like that. That is your hypothesis. Dreaming for a particular thing is your first thing as a hypothesis. Decide what data you need to test hypothesis. Here I will give a very good example of present thing, what is actually happening. Take COVID. I have got a drug. I want to test whether my drug is working in COVID or not. What actually I should collect data? Which data I should collect? Should I do only clinical to find out the fever, cough, do the chest X-ray to find out this, or should I do some investigation? Doing an investigation, should I do only actually CRP or high sensitive CRP or IL-6, or I should do RT-PCR? What actually I should do? So clearly I should understand that if I want to say that my drug is going to cure or prevent a complication, chest and CT X-ray is important. If I want to say that my drug is going to cure COVID, RT-PCR important. So you should be very clearly actually what you want to do, what is your parameter which will be useful for testing that hypothesis should be very clear to you. Refine our check. When you are sitting and planning, you will find there are so many things will be coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 things actually may be coming. This can be done, that can be done. But you have to identify and come and fix, okay, these are the things which are very important, I will do. Because you cannot do everything in a particular disease or in a particular type of thing. I tell you very good, and for example is that you are using a drug. It is very difficult to estimate what is the concentration of drug in blood. So there is no point in planning, because for that you need HPLC, LCSC and kinetic. You can't do. So don't do those things which actually is not possible for you to. Whatever you want to do, you precisely write down that only and you should do. Now, very important thing is that you have to understand research. When you say that, okay, this research is good. Here I have taken an example of car. The reason is that the car is spelling up, car is C-A-R, and that has got very, very important significance for good research. And what is that significance? Now first take C. You should be very clear that what are the essential problems, both for problem as well as answer. You should be very, very clear that, okay, this will be my problem and this is the answer I am looking for that. That is the first thing you should be very clear in your mind. Second thing is that A. Please always try to generate your data which is accurate. Don't try to manipulate the data or do some investigation which is not very, very important. You don't have any proper type of investigation which will be done correctly. Please don't do. So whatever be data, need not to do 10 actually investigation, maybe do 1 or 2, but always see that whatever data you are taking, it should be accurate. And the third one is that reliable. Why I am talking reliable? That today I have developed a drug, tomorrow put somebody else want to use and want to repeat and see, he should get the same data. So reliability of clinical research is very, very important. Many times it has been shown that people have published very nicely, especially PhD. When somebody repeats, they are not able to do because the data which they collected was not reliable. So remember CAR. Good research, most important thing that you have to very seriously consider your objective. What is your objective for a particular research? So researcher exposes all possible, when you do that, so many things actually come in your mind. At the onset of the study, design, try and over that what actually you would like to do. Then very important thing I told, knowledge. Because I gave example of same COVID that if you want to prove that your drug is working, RT-PCR is the only way. No point in doing ESR or XRHS, it will not help. So you should have a full knowledge about what actually you are going to do. How it will come? It will come by a process which is most important before doing research is actually review of literature. Do the latest review of literature and find out about your actually aim. I was deciding actually once the COVID started to see that whether vitamin D works on COVID or not. And to tell you that 156 actually research paper I downloaded and then I prepared this thing there. So your knowledge is very important. Then only you can correctly design and then you can answer scientifically. So knowledge becomes the fourth one. Then naturally you should be motivated. I told you that first we start with hypothesis. What is hypothesis? First actually the thesis. Thesis is nothing, a position that you believe represent truth. I'm thinking that okay, when I will use this particular type of medicine, it will be very useful in case of tuberculosis. It is my hypothesis. There is no data, nothing is there, but I'm thinking that because of these reasons, probably particular drug may be useful in tuberculosis or malaria or in a hypertension. I'm just going with my presumption. Hypothesis is the foundation of top on which built your thesis. I started with the thesis, then I converted into hypothesis that okay, when I will do this, I will take patient with tuberculosis or malaria, I will give my drug and it will be improving. That is my hypothesis. Hypothesis is a completely patient today diagnosed to have COVID positive. The highest incidence is in Maharashtra. Then this is epidemiological study. We are just collecting a data. How many people in the actually community or in the state or in this thing, they are suffering with particular disease. That is epidemiological. Other is actually randomized clinical trial. In case of randomized clinical trial, you design and you randomize the individual and then you are giving your drug and then you are doing your study. This type of study is the most common and it is useful for the patient. Epidemiological is very useful for policy maker or public to understand to start use mask or not. Now it is increasing, use mask or use vaccine. Now next is study design. This is very, very important thing that each component in study design you should very clearly understood, and that depends on what drug you are using, what disease you are using. Study design will differ. It cannot be uniform. It will change from actually type of disease and type of drug which you are using. It will vary. And what are those points will be there? Coming to age. Now I have got a drug actually which is for Alzheimer's disease. I should know that Alzheimer's disease is only common after 65 years of age. So all my patient inclusion criteria more than 65 years of age. If disease is prevalent in very young people, my age will be different. So first actually your criteria for putting into the study design is age. You should know that in each age group particular disease is common. Coming to the gender, you should again know that which gender is required. Very good example is there. I have developed a drug for cancer prostate. Naturally, all my gender will be male. I have developed a drug for breast cancer. Naturally, all my patients will be female. So gender is other. But suppose disease is common. Naturally, you can use both the gender part. The second actually part is identifying gender, which gender you want to use. Ethnic and race. Now it is found that in India there are about 65 ethnic groups, and some ethnic groups are highly sensitive for some problem. I tell you the example, they have found that a particular type of drug causes actually hemorrhage in Sindhi population. Jain population, they don't want to take any drug which is derived from animal source. So these are some of the issues that also ethnic group. And because of ethnic variation, metabolism of drug also vary. Some metabolize very fast. Some people actually metabolize very slowly drug and they develop toxicity, what is known as personalized medicine. That is only because of ethnic population. Chinese, they have got different type of ethnic population. They have got different metabolism. Indians are different. Then coming to Europe, they have got different type of this thing. Same drug dose may not be equally required which is in Europe or in India. So this is another one, and race again also it is important. Disease characteristics. You should be very careful in selecting disease characteristics. You take rheumatoid arthritis, it has got 4 stages. At which stage actually you think your drug will be active? At the last stage where already person has got deformed, or in a very early stage, or stage number 2. So you should be very careful in understanding that what actually disease stage. Take hypertension. You want to take hypertension which are early or late where already the cardiovascular disease has been developed or not. So the disease stage which you want to include, you should very clearly define that I will take diabetes. You want to take pre-diabetes, or you want to take a diabetes which is within 6 months, or you want to take a chronic diabetes because you want to check a complication. So you have to understand correctly the characteristic of disease which you want to use. Exclusion criteria is very important because I told you patient is first. You should never include a patient who is going to get harm because of your drug or because of side effect. You are doing a study with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Exclude all the patients, those who are complaining gastric irritation. Otherwise, there will be peptic perforation. So you should be more careful. In fact, the list of exclusion criteria should be more than the inclusion criteria. Or there is a drug interaction. You should understand that patient is taking this drug. If I give this drug, it will be useless. So exclusion also is a very important question for including your population. Now I am coming to very important thing is the number. Why I wanted to tell about that? Unfortunately, most of us, we have got a wrong notion that there is some magic number in clinical trial. No, there is no magic number. Somebody said I have used 50 patients. Somebody told I have taken 120 patients. Nothing. There is nothing like 121. Each and every clinical trial has to have a correct number, and that is only possible by statistician because there are selective criteria. You have to, this type of study, how many patients will be required in group A, how many patients in group B, total number of patients, how many patients are going to get dropout, because all the patients are included in trial, they will never complete. Some people will drop. Longer the study, longer the dropout. I should know. So correct number of the patient which is going to give you a correct significance should be calculated properly. No magic number 50, 120, 190, no. You have to calculate properly, include the number of dropout. Some people, those who are not coming up, follow up, everything you have to presume. Stratification. When you are including any patient, you don't have any control of the patient. You are telling that I am doing a study in hypertension. I have got a very good new drug. One obese patient will come. One patient will come who is a smoker, smoking 30 cigarettes. You have to stratify. If you don't stratify, your data will be wrong. Suppose you have taken a smoker, using antihypertensive drug, you will not get the effect. Obese patient may not respond to your drug. So your stratification is very important. On day one, you tell all hypertensive patients with smoker, separate group. All hypertensive patients, those who are obese, separate. So stratification is very, very important. Age stratification or any other stratification is very important. Randomization is must. Many people, they are doing study which is unrandomized. Problem is bias. If it is randomized trial, actually bias is eliminated. So always try to do a randomized clinical trial. Now we are doing a study on human participant. There may be important thing is that the ethical issue says that patient safety right of human subject must be protected. All people, those who are willing to participate on your trial, they have got every right to not take your medicine, not to come, and you cannot ask any question to them. So their safety and right should be protected, that is top. Second thing, how you are going to have a safety or right of the thing, study design. Suppose I need only 100 patients, I should not include 200 patients. Only 100 patients I should use it. This is actually first way how actually I am keeping a safety. Second, actually most important thing is there, how actually I am preserving safety, that I am putting my protocol to ethics committee. Ethics committee is deciding and telling, yes, this is okay sir, you can take 50 patients, you can give this drug, this is the dose, you can actually follow up to 6 months. So actually I have got another actually person or monitoring which is safety of my human subject. And third, which is most and must, is informed consent. No clinical trial activity. I am using word no clinical trial activity. Activity means even if I am coming and discussing with you that I am doing a clinical trial, in clinical trial these are the investigation I am going to do to select. This is actually screening, I am not actually taking. Even for that I must take informed consent, that should be written. Informed consent becomes one of the major reasons because legally you are bound to that. Tomorrow suppose somebody put a legal case, if informed consent has not properly followed, and even the guideline which government is regularly changing, the latest guideline which is actually in March 2020, you see that they have actually bifurcated. The clinical trial done for academic, clinical trial done for pharma are totally different. Ethics committee permission is different, their registration is different. So this is another very important. Data safety monitoring, medical monitoring is a must. Every clinical trial you have to create independent data monitoring safety. Every 2 months or every 3 months they will check. And if they find that there is a wrong, something is good, they can stop it. So these are actually some of the important ways how actually we save our participants. What are the key questions? What is the main purpose of your trial? That is actually first key question. What treatment will use and how? You have to be very clear that what treatment you want to use, how you want to use, whether you want to use orally or you want to give by injection. What repeated, whether you are giving daily, once in a week, everything should be very, very clearly defined. Actually, you should be very clear and you should mention in what is known as a patient information sheet. There is something known as a patient information sheet. This is a part of informed consent. It should include each and every risk which actually participant is going to tell. You tell him. During actually when you are talking to the participant, you tell if you are participating, there is a possibility that all these risks can appear. So you have to very clearly mention every risk to the participant in trials. What are the possible benefits? You have to mention doing phase 1 clinical trial in healthy subject. He will not be having any advantage. Okay, for patient, he may get cured or he may improve, but healthy volunteers, they don't get. So you should very clearly tell them that healthy volunteer, when you are participating in my clinical trial, I am developing a new drug for cancer. Tomorrow I am going to do phase 2 and many patients I can save. So you are significantly contributing in development of new drug. That is the only benefit. How the patient safety will be monitored, you have to very clear. For example, if you are doing a study where you know that this particular drug is known to cause some hepatic problem. I give very, very important example here, practical. There is a drug that is known as lufenamide. Lufenamide is a very good drug for the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis. 35% of the patient, they develop liver damage. You have to monitor liver function in patients, those who are actually taking lufenamide. Other very, very important example as on today, use of chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine in the treatment of COVID or rheumatoid arthritis. It produces retinal damage. Every second month, all patients, those who are taking hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine, they should go for retinal examination to monitor. Otherwise, they will be blind. So it is very important that you should very clearly write how you are going to monitor them. Or there is an alternative treatment. Every patient should know that if I am not participating in this clinical trial, what will be the alternative drug is given to me. He should know very clear. And are you going to give to him because he is not participating at all? No, you go. No. You have to tell him this is the alternative and we are going to provide you for that. Patient should clearly know that who is sponsoring, whether actually investigator is doing clinical trial or ex-pharma is doing the clinical trial, because of now the major issue has come. If you see the latest regulatory guideline, there is so much of information about compensation. Each and everybody who is participating, there is a clear-cut guideline compensation. Compensation for this. Death, what is the compensation? How much should be given? It should be written on informed consent. It should be approved by ethics committee. So we should know who is the sponsor, whether all the clinical trials are insured or not. Without insurance, now clinical trials are not happening. What is the participant burden? What is the burden to him? How many times he has to come? How many times he has to give a blood? When he is coming, actually, who is giving a fare from his house to come? Are you going to give taxi fare or something in there? He should know that burden. How long and how where? Actually, how long treatment will be here and where actually he has to come? This should, along with your research is reproducible. If you take this one, it will be reproducible. Now, one of the most important thing for anything is that because when research is going on, nobody sees what you have done. What is actually available for us to evaluate whether you have done correctly or not, or regulator or any scientific thing is data. So data are most important thing should be there and you have to be very, very considerate for that. Data are fact about your measurement. Whatever you have measured and entered, that is your data. They should be carefully recorded and always unbiased manner. Okay, you are thinking that this change should occur. It may not be occurring. Don't bother. Whatever actually correctly, RT-PCR is not coming down. Don't bother. Write whatever value is there. Never write anything which is actually you think it should happen. Completely unbiased it should be there. Probably the drug which you are using, dose may be less. Or drug is not acting in this particular patient. Next patient it may work. They should be measured in a manner that minimize the random of variation. Variation should be minimum. They should be derived from operational definition which you have done. I told you the operational development that when patient will come, he will set for 10 minutes. I will record only with this BP apparatus. Whatever operational definition you have put in your protocol, that only should be used. Data validation is very important. People are doing, we are not doing. Third party will do validation. They will check whether data has got any sense or not. Look very critical about the data. Whatever you are entering is really very critical. Highest and lowest value. You always remember that in clinical trial there is a huge variation because of the patient, because of your recording. What is known as in actually the clinical science, this is known as outlier. Outlier means some data will be very low, some data will be very high. So you have to define. How you have to define that? When actually you are preparing a literature, you will find out when if somebody had done the study, what is actually the normal value they got it. This is 80%. From 20% to 80% data which is coming is reliable. Anything more than 80%, don't include. Because it is outlier due to why it has happened, we don't know. Or it's very low, there is no change is occurring. So one should be very careful that always check these are the highest. Second, one more thing important thing is that if you are getting too many high and too many low, that means there is something wrong in your method. And how you avoid that? The best way to avoid that, whatever may be the clinical trial, actual clinical trial you are going to plan in 200 patients, do a pilot study. Because when you do a pilot study, you will come to know that when you are doing something, whether something going wrong or not. So always do a pilot study with 10 or 20 people and say, okay, everything is working fine, I am able to record everything, then you go for this. And especially with the new drug, pilot is must. Data entry error. This is very common. I wanted to enter 98 and by mistake actually I have that in place of 0 I put 6, it has become 96. So data entry is very common. Distribution, you have to find out whether your data has normal distribution or skewed distribution. This you can see from the literature or statistician will tell you. Check selected data entry with original data form. This is very important. For example, you have sent actually blood sample or blood sugar to the lab. Lab will give a report. You are entering onto your case record form. Check it. They have mentioned 290 and you have written 219. So always actually you compare the source data and source document. Data interpretation, most important. Because lot of data is there, but interpretation is very important. Do not interpret or analyze data until after its completion. Always remember, and many of us, we do a mistake. I have to do 200, but in between just of curiosity, after 50 or 60 patients, I check whether it is working or not. Never you should do, because at that time some changes occurred and you may have a wrong reading. Do not unblind the subject until the study is completed rather than safety reason. Except in safety, if somebody develops very serious problem, yes, unblind. But never actually make unblind till your all clinical trial is completed. Do not intercept or analyze data until after data has been validated and data set is closed. You have to give for data validation They will do validation and they will say close. We have closed. Now you open and check. Data interpretation, use research question. What is your research question? You check whether it is happening similar or not. Use prior definition. Always have a definition of a particular thing and you check that with definition whether it is fitting into it. Exploration of epidemiological data is okay. For example, we are exploring lot of epidemiological data of COVID. Somebody is telling the test was not done properly and all those things. So one should be careful in analyzing and actually thinking about epidemiological data, but need not to avoid the data mining. Data mining need not to be avoided because whatever data is coming, you take it that, but don't take very seriously all epidemiological data. Now coming to writing up, everything is over. Now I'm actually writing my clinical research. If you do not write, it is considered in clinical trial that it do not happen. Anything, if patient has to come after 3 days on particular date, patient has not come for follow-up, right, patient has not come. Because it is a dictum in clinical research, if not written, it has not been done. Even you might have done, but if you have not written onto the case record form, it is considered that you have not done. Everything, negative, positive, you have to write on that particular time. Order of writing. When you are first time writing, you start actually what method you have used. Then you write, these are the results I got, make a table or graph or whatever you want to do. Then you go back to introduction, then you write discussion, and then you write abstract. This is first time, not for sending for publication. And then after that you again recheck your title, whether it is really fitting or when you are doing clinical trial something has changed which actually needs change in title, that you can do that. After first draft, you have prepared a first draft. New analysis usually suggested the process of putting your idea down on paper. You have done that one, write a rough draft on that paper, put the paper away. Don't every time daily go on seeing. Wait for some time, after 1 week you take rest and again see, because then you have some idea, okay, these things happen and you can change. Ask. Very important thing is that whatever actually data you have generated, drafted, you have to give to your mentor or your colleague, let them also check and let them suggest this is okay, this is not okay, or change is required. Sending for publication, because whatever we are doing, we want to publish. When writing a paper, first and foremost, you have to decide that which type of journal you want to send, which type of journal will accept this particular type of data. You should select that. Pick up the journal that will match your paper topic and quality and importance of your work. Because it's very, very important that once you are publishing on a particular journal, it becomes very important. And then it becomes a very, very, very important valuable. Here I would like to give example of my own one very, very important issue exactly on same. There was one case report, I'm sorry to take time, but I want to give example that why it is very, very important to selecting a journal and looking for the publication in a very good journal. What is important? Because you have done a very hard work. You have done very obediently, you have done very honestly. Definitely I would like to prefer to publish it with you. There was one case report published in actually NEJM, that is one of the very good. The case report said that the 60 years of old lady, she was admitted to the hospital because of coma and there was actually brain hemorrhage. That lady actually was taking antiplatelet drug for almost 8 to 9 years because of various problems, and suddenly she admitted. The doctor, when they did CT scan, they found there is a lot of hemorrhage. Then they went into actually past history of that particular patient. They found that she was having some giddiness or something. She went to one Ayurvedic doctor in USA. And as for Ayurvedic doctor, he has prescribed Ginkgo biloba. And 7 days of Ginkgo biloba, this happened. Now the issue came, this is the first report where anti-platelet drug when given with Ginkgo biloba, it increases the anti-platelet activity and she developed hemorrhage. What we did, actually we did a very same study to confirm in healthy subject. We took 12 healthy subjects. We gave actually one of the platelet drug, clopidogrel, Ginkgo biloba, and we did a platelet aggregation test. And we proved that even Ginkgo biloba actually decreased, the platelet aggregation was decreased. When we combined, there is significant potentiation. So this was confirmed that that lady developed this thing is that Ginkgo biloba should never be actually combined with antiplatelet drug. This we wanted to report. This is a very important thing because if it is published in some Indian journal, nobody will know. People will not go on using Ginkgo biloba. We are very much interested to publish into British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology. British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology is very, very selective. Usually herbal drug publication they usually avoid. 10 times actually we got the referral, this thing is that, and finally they understood that this paper is very important because it will help the people that don't use Ginkgo biloba when you are using it, and we got it. So what I mean to say that you should understand where actually you want to do. Your drug is related to clinical pharmacology, look into clinical pharmacology. Suppose it is related to particular this thing, then you should do that one. So selection of journal is also very important for you because that gives you an important. Aim should high, always aim very high. Don't, when you're starting some clinical research, don't think, okay, think that, okay, my study is going to contribute very significantly, but go slowly. Very important that persist. When you are doing, so many problems will come. Sometime actually you have started the study. I wanted to do study in particular, this thing is there. I wanted 100 patients. I'm not getting. Patients are not coming or patients are not getting. Go on persisting. Then only it will be. That's the reason I told that patience is one of the very important things for researcher. I just give few slides about the clinical research development. All you may know. We start with preclinical, culture, human, animal studies, then development of actually IND, new drug. Actually we develop, submit to FDA, take approval. We do phase 1 trial. All these things we do. Then we do phase 2 trial. After phase 2 trial, we do phase 3 trial. And then after phase 3 trial, actually, we go for phase 4 trial, that is post-marketing. After actually I get approval from the regulatory to market, that is phase 4 trial. Compare the drug with other drug, define border. This is very important, which comes under pharmacovigilance, phase 4 trial. Reading the clinical research, I don't want to go into detail. Protect need and risk of participant. You must do clinical research, give importance to protection of the participant. And the last and the final advice is that always generate the quality data. So as a researcher, these 3 things are the most important thing. Finally, you have to carry, and every clinical research, every component should be actually playing all around that. Whether you are preparing a case record form or title, or you are monitoring, or you are doing a clinical related to thing, whatever maybe you are doing, always remember honesty and ethics. Risk, to never give anything which is actually risky to the body. And lastly, this is my last slide, and thank you very much for your patience.
Assalamu alaikum. A very warm and good evening to all. Feels great with attentive audience and magnificent dignitaries. Thank you so much, sir. It's a great honor to have you here. Excellence is not being the best, it is doing your best. Thank you for enlightening us with your provoking thoughts. It was a most valuable addition to our knowledge. We were enthralled by your insightful presentation. Your presentation drew the audience and held their attention. It was like ocean described in a drop, talking all about your vast practical experiences. Many students got very clear and precise idea about research, and definitely it was a revision and refreshment of subject for those who all are engaged in active research. Thank you once again, sir. This was Dr. M.U.R. Naidu, sir, Dean, Professor and HOD, Department of Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics, NIMS, Hyderabad. Thank you so much. Inspired is great, but to be an inspiration is an honor. It is my privilege to invite Mr. C.S. Mujibuddin, Founder and CEO, Clinozol Research Private Limited, for presentation on the topic Significance of Clinical Research and Scientific Writing in Integrative Medicine.
I hope I am audible. Thank you. So before starting my session, I'll tell one note. I'll be only taking 15 to 20 minutes of session. So bear with me. I know 15 to 20 minutes, I promise you my session will be completed. I'll not take much time. So please bear with me. Seniors, my gurus, my mentors are listening to me. I'm a little bit nervous. Probably I'll try to act somehow that I'll not show you nervousness. Because most of research is being done by the researchers who are sitting in audience. And I'm very fortunate to have a session on this. So I would start the session. So why have we started this planning of this conference? Why we came up with this conference, and what are we doing now, and what are we standing up? So before going to this point, so I'll put this picture. Hopefully this picture is interesting picture. So whatever meaning you want to do, you can take the meaning of this picture. So but I'll tell you what happened during COVID lockdown. So everyone was locked and everyone was worried about COVID treatment. One treatment my parents suggested me. So can anyone guess what is the treatment my parents suggested me? Though I am a pharmacologist, my parents suggested me one treatment. So anyone can guess what is the treatment they suggested me? No, not rest. Okay. Zinda Tilisman. So let's have a big round of applause for Unani doctors who have developed this Zinda Tilisman. One treatment which can treat COVID. So probably people have believed or not, but I don't know how much research has been done on this. That is the focus why we are sitting here, how research can be taken by doctors. So doctor, day in and day out, you sit in clinics, you are identifying new points, new treatments. How can you take that ahead? So that is the main focus of today's session. So because you are day in and day out treating the patients and you are identifying some new things. So that's what we focused. So this photo, as per me, though a person is alive or killed, we should not leave our ethics. Our ethics says only one thing: patient comes first. Patient safety comes first. Irrespective of whatever religion, whatever caste, whatever richness, whatever poorness, whatever it is, patient comes first. That's why they think that medical people, we are next to, or we are nearly or next to gods who can give treatments. Right, so this is the photo which has been given. And next one, these are the lessons. These are the lessons which we made mistakes. Okay, either it is we have not followed the ethics, or we wanted the scientific research to overcome the ethics. See, you have to have scientific research, I completely understand, but not on the sake of ethics. You can't corner the ethics because you want to get a new drug into market. You can't go and bring some 4 leaves and say that, okay, chalo we'll give and cancer will be treated. No. So it should be scientifically written and scientifically researched. Then only we would be able to prove that molecule having the ethics and scientific research, both points. So these are the many research which got failed, which got cornered because we have not followed the ethics, either not doing in a right way, rights, safety and well-being of subjects are not being protected, informed consent was not being given, or safety was not being seen. All these concerns came together here. So these are the things which got failed. So why are we discussing today is, I want to initiate one point that any one research question if you answer, any one research question, you are sitting in clinics and you are treating the patients and suddenly you got one idea that why can't I use this drug, and for example you have used off-label use for a particular patient and you have understood or identified some research answer in that can change any patient around the world. So, but how are we going to put that research onto the paper is most important. So that's what we are going to discuss, and that's what I'm here to speak about this. And yeah, so earlier it was always towards product specific. Okay, how much I can sell my product. Okay, so if I bring a Zinda Talisman, how can I give all Zinda Talisman to every patient? So, but here is a question. Now we are at patient centric. So the patient is at center and we are working on individual patients. So one treatment is not being happy for all patients. So individual treatments can give a new way of research for us. So that's what I have put. The future is, it is now patient centric. Now patient is giving our work, and now individual patients may come with a different kind of combination of diseases. Now for the combination of diseases, you have to bring a combination of drugs or combination of treatments along with herbal and along with Unani medicines. So that is what is our target. So we have to prove evidence that the molecules which are being used ages old together till now are being same effective, and we are just missing the evidence to be showcased to the global market. So maybe having 100 reasons why we are not able to show, but the focus of ours is, it has to show that we still have the evidence. So how are we going to show that is not with words, not with words. I can't go and shout at Amirpet saying that I have given this drug and my drug is super good. I want to bring a patient to you. So we can't do that. But we have to take the data and we have to justify that the data is really showing some good benefits with efficacy and safety. So that is what we have to focus. So this is about the second slide or third slide. And today, now the basically patient. So we are just working for a patient. And now earlier, I think my seniors or my mentors have spoken about this. This is something which is called as reverse pharmacology. Okay, earlier days, we used to go for lab and we used to come to market. But now what is reverse pharmacology or drug repurposing? So this word you have to understand it. We have thousands of molecules already available in market. Either Zinda Talisman or XYZ or whatever it is. So how can you prove the efficacy of the other indication which is not been earlier researched? Is most important question you have to understand. So already they are proven for safety. You don't need to prove one more time safety. So you just have to focus on different indication. The other indication, how we can prove the indication. So for example, Zinda Talisman is used for cold or cough. So how can it prevents the other aspects of COVID or something XYZ. So that is the focus of drug repurposing. So we don't need to go to forest and bring 4 medicinal plants and put it in front of us and test that new plants. No, not needed. So already hundreds of drugs already are there. We just have to focus that if we modify the dose or dosage or frequency or combination, how can we use this drug for the other indication purpose? So this is what is this slide. And yeah, so I think Naidu sir has spoken and Vahid sir is there. I'm feeling nervous, but still I'm acting that I'm not nervous. So now observation. Patient's observation is so much important, guys. Listen, one more important thing. If patient is giving truthful data, you will get a super good endpoints. Okay, if you give a drug to a patient and you ask a patient that what is your outcome, and now if patient is telling lies to you, you think that your drug is really working and you will release the market, and one more time more people will die because one patient has said the lies. So now the outcome of your drug depends on the observation of the doctor on the patients. Remember these points. So because the observation is so much important to understand how your drug is acting on the subjects. Now for example, you got a wonderful idea. And one more thing to state this point here is clinical trials not necessarily manufacturers only have to do or sponsors, big pharma companies only have to do. No, even a doctor, even you can do a clinical trial which is called as investigator initiated trial. So as a doctor, if you have a good idea, you can go for protocol development, you can go for ICF development, you can go for CRF development, go for ethics committee approval, get an approval, go for regulatory body submissions or go for your Unani board submissions and go for research. Complete that research and then you can give this molecule to the market. So the focus here is we don't require money, but we just require an idea. So I'm not saying that you need 10 crores to bring one molecule. So you just have to have how I can modify a molecule or a drug and how I can do the research. So clinical trials or data management or pharmacovigilance or statistics where some drugs were approved. So and it was very rare kind of diseases, very rare kind. So only 1 lakh patients the whole world. So in that kind of disorders you try to understand. So how the patients will feel happy if we give treatment. So quality of life of a patient is responsibility of us. We have to make sure that quality of the life of the patient is being properly collected or conducted. And 3D drug printing, personalized medicine. So this is what I think one more time Naidu sir and Vahid sir will know about this more, and they have spoken about this on various forums. So gene therapy, I think DNA card. So like you have a visiting card, right, or ATM card. So in future, you may have a card similar to this, where you will have a DNAs and RNAs in that card. You go to a doctor and give to a doctor, and doctor will put there and will say that, okay, this treatment will not suit you, this treatment will suit you, go. So this will be your future. So this is what is personalized medicine, precision medicine. So this is your future. So don't expect that drugs will be same for all patients. So you may have to do a lot of research. So come up out of that box and open your research and do these activities. And body sensors, as I said, some of the sensors like wearables are being used. So why to write? As Naidu sir has already said, if it is not documented, guys, people are not believing us. People are thinking that Indians are very much telling lies and we don't have data. We just go and in Hyderabadi language, phekta. Yes, phekna, right? So lambe phekna. So that's what they are saying. Have a proper documentation and as much as possible avoid using papers. Okay, use electronic systems. You have laptops, you have systems, develop a database, or you can take our help and collect the data. You prove the data is validated data, do the statistical analysis and submit this data. So probably one time they can say no, as Naidu sir said. 11 times, 12 times if we justify that yes, our research has been really done, 12th time they will approve it. So they don't have any other chance to do it. So please write the data, because if you don't write, we will forget. Okay, how are we learning this all things? Because our ancestors have written books and we are reading that books. So if they have not written these books, we would not have read this. So please write the data. Whatever you find out, write it. Positive, negative, whatever it is. So yeah, what to write? So now, here is something which, these are the data which I wanted to conduct. And yeah, so how to keep you updated, most of words already Naidu sir has explained. I don't wanted to tell. So please try to attend this kind of conference, try to meet people, try to discuss your ideas. So one of the most important thing which I understood in working in companies, 15 years of my industry career have taught me one thing. If you don't communicate, people will think that you are a zero. Okay, if you don't communicate, people will think that you are a zero. So you have to learn to communicate. You should know to do research with communication with your mentors, your team members, getting the ideas. Take ideas, work together and you will have the best outcome. And health economics and outcome research. See guys, this is also very important. How can you make every patient irrespective of rich or poor, you can bring a drug. Okay, so health economics comes into picture. Okay, now drug for a cancer is being sold for 1.5 lakh. What is the use of 1.5 lakh to be taken by the subject? So how can I bring a molecule with only 1.5 rupee with the same kind of efficacy and safety? So that is what health economics and outcome research you have to do. And we are taking help of biomedical engineering, research scientists, medical affairs, and database designers and medical science divisions. These are all the people who works on this. And yeah, Clinosol, what is Clinosol? I don't want to tell more about Clinosol because I think you are already done with this session. So this is about Clinosol, our vision, mission and values. And what we do trainings, we do consultings, we give jobs, we give recruitments and all those things. We conduct the research also. And these are the achievements in 2020 and 2021. So one point which I wanted to be sharing happily, previous 3 months performance report, we have given more than 80 jobs. So and I am very thankful to all my well-wishers and my students who have helped. Highest package was more than 8.2 lakhs and none other than doctors like BUMS, BHMS and BAMS and MBBS doctors. So these people are being paid huge salaries, guys. You have to have a round of applause for yourself. You think that you are always below. We always have this problem. I also have this problem. Okay, we always think that, what is this, by choice or by chance? So everyone will say, I don't want to become a Unani doctor. No one in this room would have said in childhood, saying that I want to become a Unani doctor. Yes or no?
Yes.
Probably the answer is yes. So if you would have said 2 answers, one is engineer, one is doctor, and that doctor is allopathic doctor, I think. So either there's 2 words. So life will change you, and research is something which you enjoy. Okay. So these are the collaborations and these are the aspects. These are my contact details. You can contact us, and please focus on the following points. Have to develop the protocols, have to develop an ICF, have to develop a case report form, how to get the approvals from ethics committee, how to collect the data, how to analyze the data, and how to validate the data, and how to write a report, and how to submit for the publication. So if you are doing this, then your life is super good and other people's life also will be super good. I'll be thankful for Vahid sir and Naidu sir if I would have said any wrong things. Please, maafi cha raha hu aapse. Thank you so much.
No person was ever honored for what he received. Honor has been the reward for what he gave. With this, we seldom get this kind of opportunity to listen to the words of great personality. So let us have the privilege of listening to the message of Mr. Dr. Professor Dr. M.A. Vahid sir, Member of Board of Governors, CCIM Delhi, as well as ex-Director, Central Research Institute of United Medicine. Thank you so much, sir. Please. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I express appreciation on behalf of the audience. These topics and presentations are actually working like sowing seeds of inspiration and enthusiasm in students for research, isn't it? Yes, sir has come up with very different innovative technologies for conducting research, which we were little aware of. To pace up with the current research trends across world, a complete different perspective. Thank you so much, sir. This is much required in Unani system of medicine, which has got so much potentiation for treating diseases. Thank you once again, sir. All gross and fine details about how to conduct research were mentioned. And sir has also given us the idea not only how to conduct research, but how to be a research entrepreneur also. Thank you, sir.
Esteemed Dr. M.R. Naidu sir, the former Professor at the Department of Clinical Research and Pharmaceutics, IMS Hyderabad, the organizers of this seminar, and persons from the clinical. Really, you must have learned a lot about, gathered a lot of information with regard to the clinical research and really how to design and conduct study and probably how to report the study. That is nothing but a publication. Let us know what are our responsibilities, how to go ahead in really designing that. I'll speak on research and initiative. And once you could be having an undergraduate or postgraduate or a medical doctor in the whole life, could it be in clinic or could it be in a college and it could be in an organization, research organization, or in general hospital or in private health centers, they can always do have a research design and conduct at that level, and probably they can write the clinical reports and get it published. What is research? Let us know about the research. Is a careful search. Really, we need to have a very careful search about what actually we wanted to do, and really we need to answer an inquiry, and you should have an endeavor to discover the facts, new facts rather. When you design, then you need to do what actually wanted to do that. You need to pose a question to yourself, then what I wanted to, why I wanted to do, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do. These are the things probably you need not to bother about asking anyone, but you need to pose a question to yourself. Unless you pose a question to yourself, you are not going to be a good researcher, or you are not going to be a good researcher in designing a good protocol or a good study, or initiation of the study, or the conduct of the study, the monitoring of the study, and reporting of the study. Why? Naturally, when you design your dissertation activity, then you probably design an activity of writing a protocol or a dissertation activity, then you write an introduction. An introduction, then why I wanted to do this study. It contains many parts in this introduction. Then why I wanted to do, to whom you will ask this question. You need to ask your question to yourself that question, why I should design this study, why should I conduct this study, what is the need of doing this study. So why is a question to yourself that will end up with a good literature survey, probably that will translate into a good introduction to your dissertation activity. And once you decide some idea about it, then you need to conduct a study. And how do you conduct a study? That is called a methodology. And you need to develop a methodology. Different examples of the methodology my predecessors have already given. Then probably I'll also touch it upon very precisely so that you can understand very easily. And results, what did you find? When you design and when you conduct and you adopt the methodology, we'll go detail into the methodology. What did you find? What did you find is a result. And what does it mean? What did you find? You find something out of your study. Really, does it mean anything to you? Or does it mean anything to the system? Does it mean really to your subjects? Does it mean really to the system, to the science? So that is in a really discussion panel you need to write. So these are the parts. You need to write an introduction, then you need to develop a methodology how to conduct a study, then probably once you do with the study, then probably you need to evaluate the patient, that is finally is a result, then probably you need to write a discussion before writing an abstract, then really what it means, you need to discuss about that. So when I was asking a question that you need to pose a question to yourself, why I need to do this study. So good literature survey, you need to do it. Once you ask a question, probably you wanted to do the study at COVID. Then was a similar episodes, you need to do a good literature survey to answer your questions. Unless you pose a question to yourself, that you will not be able to make a good search and a very precise search and a very specific approach you cannot develop. And define the specific problem. There is a medical condition. You need to be focused, it's not a generalized clinic that I'll get for example, see one you're doing with your post-graduation or even in the 5 year if you're undergraduation, you'll always have a clinical postings, you'll sit in general OPDs. General OPDs, you get many kind of a patient, for example, if you get arthritis. So Unani, they say Vajar Mafasil. Vajar Mafasil, probably I wanted to do a study on a Vajar Mafasil. Your professors sitting over here. Vajar Mafasil, which kind of arthritis you want to do? You should be very specific. It is really a rheumatoid arthritis or a degenerative condition like an osteoarthritis.